One of the teens wounded is 13 years old. The other, who has potentially fatal injuries, is 16. Tonight, police told us they're trying to determine whether this afternoon's shooting has any connection to the shooting of two other teens during Art Walk just 12 days ago.
We're hearing witnesses describe what they saw when the shooting happened. We begin tonight's coverage with Eric Avanier, who's been downtown since this story broke late this afternoon. Eric.
Good evening. Police are now saying that the shooting that played out here at the Landing may be related to another shooting that happened 2 weeks ago in that direction during an Art Walk event. Now, they have recovered a gun from today's shooting, but according to multiple witnesses, more than one gun was fired today. Shortly after 4 p.m., witnesses say bullets were flying everywhere and people were ducking for cover at the Landing.
And I heard what sounded like a whole bunch of fireworks. And I get around the corner and all these young people are running around and screaming, and the guy's laying there on the ground bleeding, and the cop's over him and he's not moving. They're saying he's dead and screaming out that there's another victim inside the building.
You heard at least maybe 20 shots. It sounded like two, maybe an automatic. Definitely wasn't one person firing. Yeah, definitely, it was bad. Everybody scattered.
Investigators say two off-duty JSO officers were working security at the Landing when the shots were fired.
They heard gunfire immediately outside the doors to the Landing here on Water Street. They responded outside and found two individuals that were injured.
Police say the victims are 13 and 16-year-old boys. Police also say the 16-year-old suffered life-threatening injuries. Investigators are also giving us an idea of what led to the shootings.
There appears to be some kind of confrontation between a group of individuals inside or immediately outside the Landing, some kind of fight that then turned into gunfire. The incident, based on some of the individuals that we know were involved, is possibly related to the Art Walk shooting.
The Art Walk shooting happened 2 weeks ago, just a couple of blocks from the Landing. Two teenagers were injured then, too. No arrests have been made. Now back here live, you're looking at a shot of crews that are actually working to repair the glass windows that were shot out during that shooting. Again, a shooting that played out roughly at around just after 4 o'clock this afternoon. Now coming up at 11, you're going to hear from an eyewitness who says he saw and heard the victims ask for help from a security officer right before the shooting. Guys.
Eric, you've been out there most of the night. Did the Landing have to shut down for the rest of the evening?
You know, it appears that their Landing is shut down because we cannot see any foot traffic or anything. Only thing out here is a couple of officers and, again, folks that are a crew that's back there pretty much working on that shattered window or shattered glass that was shot out earlier today. As you can probably hear, they're actually kicking out and knocking out much more of that glass that's shattered. It looks like they're going to be out here for quite some time because there was some extensive damage caused by the rain of gunfire that went through those doors there. So obviously they're not letting anyone in over there. And from what we have seen, it does appear that there is very little businesses that are open. I don't even think there are any businesses open right now because after all of this, a lot of the workers were in fact sent home. Reporting live from outside the Landing, Eric Avanier, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Eric. And this afternoon, we received a statement from the owner of the Landing. A spokesperson for Slayman Enterprises wrote, "The incident that occurred on city property outside of the Landing today saddens us. This is an ongoing investigation by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Therefore, we cannot comment any further." Police tell us they have dozens of people that they're questioning. Beyond witnesses, there were still other people who were enjoying the late afternoon and evening at the Landing who were suddenly surprised and scared.
Ken is joining us after speaking with some customers who were at a restaurant at the time of the shooting and with someone who says he is offended by the shooting. Kent?
Yeah, a local man who says he's angry that the shooting happened on Martin Luther King Day. Also, we got perspective from young people who are trying to celebrate the holiday with a dinner out when the shots were fired.
We did hear the waitress. I was like surprised because it was like my first time experience of being in an actual shooting.
Karan Chestnut was with his sister and other friends when the shooting happened Monday afternoon. Krista Chestnut says that they were at dinner at Hooters when someone ran in and said someone out there was shooting. Patrons were told to stay inside, which was a more than unsettling experience for this 13-year-old.
It was to me because it's shooting. I'm gonna be scared because I don't know if they're gonna come over here.
It was very, very shocking because it's not something me and my family come every year down here to the parade, and we don't hear much about this shootings every time we come.
Yeah. People passing the scene at the landing could be overheard saying they weren't coming back. One of the teens we spoke with says his parents may not let him come back.
I already talked on the phone with my mom. She was saying that we might not be able to come back down here because people are shooting.
We was here because I was in the MLK parade, ROTC. You know, mom wanted to celebrate me seeing in the parade. So went to the landing, celebrate, and that's when the shooting happened.
Total disrespect. Martin Luther King, this is not what he wanted.
T. Greedy wasn't at the landing when the shooting happened, but he wanted his voice heard. He's angered, offended by the shooter's reckless behavior and disregard for the national holiday along with the community.
Disrespect to the city and to Martin Luther King. That's not right. Period. Point blank. No right should a man have a gun down here. Period. You shouldn't have a gun down here at all. That's not right.
You know, police have not identified by name or race the two teens who were involved, but race is something that last gentleman, T. Greedy, wanted to talk about. He said black-on-black crime has to stop. We told him we didn't know the race of the people, if race was part of the issue in any way, but something we were going to ask police about. Live downtown, Kent Justice, Channel 4, the local station.
Kent, the family you interviewed, did they leave the landing without being questioned by police, and were police actually going into restaurants and talking to customers?
Well, when we talked with police there about 7 o'clock tonight, we asked about what they were doing. They said, hey, we've got more than 30 witnesses that we're talking to, a lot of different people who were here on the premises. Just kind of had to give a cursory answer to officers and whether or not they saw anything. But again, that's a pretty large population of people who are here at the landing who had to stick around, talk with detectives, talk with officers, because officers trying to gather everything they could to figure out exactly what happened and who did the shooting tonight. Tom, Mary.
Thank you, Kent. Kent Justice reporting live from the landing.
As soon as we began posting about this story to the WJXT4 Facebook page, so many of you began commenting. Joy is joining us now with what some of you have to say. Joy.
Well, Mary, the resounding cry here is why. Take a look at what Molly Collins wrote. She says, my kids wanted to go to the parade today. My husband asked us to stay home or find another activity out of concern for all of our safety following the Art Walk shooting. Thanks for validating his concerns, Jacksonville. Now, this next comment appears to be referencing the fact that both shooting victims are teenagers, 13 and 16 years old. Margaret Murray Adder, she writes, parents, please pay attention to who your children are running around with. And finally, Di Quaranta, she writes, why? She's very frustrated here. Is there anywhere in Jax where you can go and just enjoy your evening with family without fear of violence? First the Art Walk and now this in the middle of downtown. The landing is already a ghost town and people are abandoning it. Stop the madness. Be sure to sound off with what you think. Just search for WJXT4 in Facebook to get to our page. Mary?
Thanks.